Defenestration, defined as the act of throwing someone out of a window, or as the act of dismissing someone from a position of power. I've always said if you toss a fellow off a high enough window, you can get both done at the same time. Anywho, I wanted to talk about it today. Now, I can wager that anyone watching this video has wanted to throw someone out of a window at some point. Maybe a customer keeps asking the most stupid questions. Maybe you had to go through 3 rounds of interviews just to get told by a soulless husk in HR that you don't have the education required to work the deli at HEB. Or maybe, just maybe, you stubbed your toe that morning and you want to take it out on someone else. All reasonable reasons. History is filled with reasonable people with reasonable motivations, such as the people of Lisbon. In 1383, King Ferdinand I of Portugal died, leaving his daughter Beatrice and her husband John I of Castile as his primary heir. This would result in Castilian domination over Portuguese lands. The people of Portugal pushed for John I of Portugal to claim the crown. As part of showing support, churches across the realm were ordered to ring their bells. But the people of Lisbon noticed that the capital's cathedral was silent. The people of Lisbon would proclaim the bishop, a Castilian, as a traitor and began to thrash against the door. The bishop, Don Martinho, was atop one of the towers with some others. The crowd called for his companions to toss him from the tower, or they would storm the church and do it themselves to all who hid within. Martinho was summarily killed and thrown out the tower. They then beat his corpse, ran his pockets, dragged him naked to Rocio Square, let it rot, be eaten by dogs, and buried him under the place his body was exhibited. Side note, while Wikipedia implies that he was only buried after he began to smell, specifically that the people of Lisbon only buried him because they got tired of dealing with the smell, as funny as that is, I don't believe it's true. Based on the translation of the work I read, that only seemed to have been the case with 2 others who were killed during this whole kerfuffle. Anyways, moving on from murderous burgers. The Mughal Empire. No, not the Mongols, these are their distantly related, less famous cousins in India, had a long and mighty reign. So of course, politicians and generals were constantly murdering the shit out of each other. It's kinda just what they do. Enter General Adam Khan, adopted brother of Emperor Akbar the Great. General Adam was good at his job, and managed to conquer the Malwa province. After this great victory, Adam took one look at his emperor and brother, whose job it is to murder people for food and land, back to his smelting pile of loot and prisoners, back to his brother, and told him to kick bricks. From the spoils of this conquest, he sent only a few trinkets to Akbar, at least until Akbar traveled to confront Adam, whereupon he surrendered himself and his loot to Akbar. Perhaps in response to this slight, Akbar would name another general to be his Wakil, the Mughal prime minister. Adam, the wise and thoughtful, would storm the royal palace and strike down the Wakil in front of his court, before moseying on down to the harem where Akbar had just been told what had happened. Upon being confronted, Adam essentially told him, "Don't worry about it, bro," before getting uppercutted and tossed off the terrace. Unfortunately for Adam, should have thought it through Khan, the first try didn't work, leaving him with 2 shattered legs and I'm sure many regrets. It took a second toss, head first this time, to finally finish him off. Let that be a lesson to any would-be Mughal emperors looking to assassinate their adopted brothers. You guys are my core demographic after all. Anyways, moving on from murderous Indians. The Fourth Defenestration of Prague. Czechoslovakia was a country in Eastern Europe. Enter Jan Masaryk, a longtime diplomat from Czechoslovakia. He was assigned to both America and Britain for a time, and when a government in exile was established in London, 1940 during World War II, he was appointed foreign minister. I don't think I need to cover the end of World War II in too much depth here. The overlord's overlord, Tito's in Yugoslavia, the Red Army puts up a horrible KD, and some mysterious hero pops Hitler in the head. In the aftermath of World War II, as both America and Russia began to strengthen their influence around the world, the Czechoslovakian Communist Party would win a plurality in the 1946 elections. Communist, and by proxy Soviet, influence would only continue to grow in Czechoslovakia. Despite being unaffiliated, Masaryk kept his place as foreign minister. He was a non-communist, Western-friendly politician in a country that was rapidly becoming a Soviet satellite state. For reference, Masaryk once described his aims in World War II as follows: "My conviction is that our little country is not going to be saved by any of these grand isms, neither fascism nor Bolshevism, pan-Germanism, or pan-Slavism. I'm definitely a Slav, but I hope a European first. I'm convinced that the fate of our peoples cannot be separated from that of other Central European and Danubian peoples, whether they are Slavs or not. Narrow nationalism should disappear. An equal partnership in the cause of a European risorgimento, a breakaway from isms of every kind, a free Germany in a free Europe, and beside her, the Czechoslovakia of St. Wenceslas, Hus, Kornenius, Palaksky, Smetana, Masaryk, Čapek, a free Czechoslovakia in a free Europe. By the time 1948 rolled around, he had a bigger target on his head than a Kennedy that started asking questions. On March 10th, 1948, Jan Masaryk was found dead below his window, still in his pajamas. This was initially ruled a suicide. Now, unfortunately, we will never know for sure whether or not Masaryk killed himself. On one hand, he was living under the constant threat of being purged due to his previously mentioned ideals. The pressure of living in this situation, as well as knowing that he was working for a government that stood against his own beliefs, may have been too much. His close colleagues, Antonín Sam and Josef Josten, seemed to believe that he had killed himself as a demonstration against the Czech government. Bob Dixon, the British ambassador to Prague, also seemed to believe that Masaryk had killed himself, but instead out of mounting pressure and stress. On the other hand, it was a Soviet proxy state. If a politician isn't unpersoned by breakfast, then something has gone wrong. Masaryk had previously pushed to accept the Marshall Plan and had denounced Bolshevism, both of which would have made him a likely purgee. He also reportedly told Dixon that he, quote, didn't crave a martyr's crown. This, paired with the fact that he had plans to leave the nation, weakens the idea that he killed himself over fear or pressure. Not to mention he was soon to marry his then girlfriend, Marcia Davenport. Personally, based on everything I've read, I think they iced the guy. They killed him, then they lied about it. That's just how it goes. Side note, there's a whole biomechanics angle analyzing how he fell and whether it suggests that he was jumped or pushed. Far as I can tell, the results of those investigations go either which way, so I discounted that angle. Also, allegedly, Masaryk's sister Alice claimed that she believed he committed suicide. I couldn't actually access the letter where this was said, and I believe the letter cited for this was actually written by a former in-law who passed along this opinion, so I'm ignoring it given it's semi-hearsay and I can't actually read the letter itself.